We begin with India, where New Delhi is in talks with social media companies on introducing age limits for young users. The move comes amid global concerns over children's safety online. Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said the government is examining ways to limit access for young users and frame rules that can work in India. He said many countries now agree that children need special protection online, and India is considering similar steps. The minister made the comments at a global AI conference in New Delhi. Along with age limits, he flagged another big concern.
Misinformation, disinformation, deepfakes, they are attacking the foundation of our society. Foundation of our society is the trust between institutions. The trust between the institutions which society has created over centuries. AI models, the creators, all of us will have to take the responsibility.
This comes just days after India tightened its AI rules. Social media platforms must now clearly label AI-generated content and remove illegal or harmful material within 3 hours of government orders. This signals a shift towards much tighter control over online content. India's discussions on age limits for children and teenagers follow strong action taken by other countries. In Australia, social media companies are legally required to remove accounts of users under 16 or face heavy fines. In France, lawmakers have cleared a bill to restrict social media use for children under 15, a proposal which is now awaiting final approval before becoming law. But in India, these developments did not come out of nowhere. The current discussion follows an important suggestion by the Madras High Court. The court recently asked the union government to study Australia's model and consider a law to restrict social media access for children and teens under 16. Well, earlier, a minister in Andhra Pradesh had spoken about preparing the ground for such limits. However, the IT minister's latest remarks are the first clear signal of a possible move at national level. At the same AI summit, the government spoke about India's big push on artificial intelligence. India expects over $200 billion in AI investments in the next 2 years.
We in India are very focused on AI in the edge, AI for use cases, AI for solving real world problems, AI for improving the productivity in the enterprises, AI for population scale problems like healthcare, like agriculture, like climate change. These are the things that we are focused here in India. And this AI summit brings that opportunity.
Meanwhile, India has also climbed to third place in global AI competitiveness rankings. Global tech leaders, including top CEOs, are attending the summit, underlining India's growing role in AI. So while India is racing ahead to become a global AI hub, it's also stepping up efforts to protect children online. With courts flagging concerns and other countries already acting, age-based rules for social media in India may soon move from discussion to decision. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Jitain Jain, a director at Voyager InfoSec and a cyber security expert, joining us live from New Delhi. Welcome to the program. So children and young people being harmed online is a growing issue, isn't it, which many governments feel compelled to try and sort out now.
Oh, of course, it is becoming an issue in India, and not only in India, it is happening across the world. Now, there is, if you see, even in developing countries like India, there is a policy shift towards, child safety. It is now a policy priority in countries like India. We have seen examples in Australia and Europe, where countries are putting sort of age verification and age restrictions for that children to use social media or access to technology like mobile phones itself. So now India is also exploring age-based verification of social media restrictions, and this is signaling a growing recognition that children in our countries need stronger protection. They need protection from harmful content. They need protection from online content. Problems of addiction and cyberbullying. And this is not an isolated move. It is a global trend, as you rightly pointed out, that Australia has done it. So children in Australia below 16 today are not allowed to access social media. And the the responsibility of enforcing that restriction or a ban now lies with the social media company. It is not voluntary. It is not by a simple government law. Social media companies have accountability and responsibility to ensure that, whether by age verification or any other mechanism, they have to enforce the decision. So this is now a growing trend. There is an international push to regulate social media, especially to protect children. Now, of course, there is going to be a huge debate about balancing digital rights, access to technology, access to educational content, and versus protecting the rights of children as a whole. So this is going to be a very, very interesting challenge which will play out.
You mentioned the social media companies there. I mean, have they shot themselves in the foot, as it were? Because they talk a lot about taking content down, but not so much about stopping content going up in the first place.
Look, there are two aspects to it. 5 years ago, if you were to, these companies had a policy that children below 15 in some countries, 16 will not be allowed to use social media without, parental control or, parental supervision. Now, once the restrictions in countries like Australia, Europe, and India started coming in, or discussions started happening, now you see even in countries like India, Instagram is giving ads that we have now teenager accounts which have limited access to the content and age-appropriate content and all these things. And very soon you'll see that they'll give numbers. Oh, look, we have blocked, let's say, 50 million accounts which were belonging to teens, and now we have restricted technology. So now to show success, they will give those numbers of 40 million, 50 million. But if you were to ask them, just 3-4 years back, when the laws were not there in Australia or countries, the discussions were not happening in countries like India, they would say that, look, there are no children below 14 on our social media platforms. They will refuse to acknowledge the problem. They will refuse to acknowledge that age verification has completely failed. Now, there is also another side where you might give them a benefit of doubt that in today's world, age verification on technology is not possible at all without ID verification, identity document. Now, this might, if you share your national ID or something on the social media platforms, you might be able to ensure a foolproof age verification, but it will give a completely new challenge of national security and surveillance regime. So I don't think countries will be comfortable by allowing these platforms to collect the national IDs and photo and biometrics of children for the sake of age verification. So I'm sure there has to be some other way out where maybe this suggestion that age verification is done by the national IDs to the national governments, and that flag or acceptance of verification is then passed to the social media companies for accounts. It happens in many, other technologies like, credit card payments where the verification of the payment is done by Visa, and ultimately the payment flag is given to the service provider that, look, we have received the payment and you can go ahead with the transaction.
Right. So okay. Let me just jump in there, if I may, then, and sort of widen this out. How does artificial intelligence play into that? I mean, does it create more opportunities for causing harm, and so governments feel compelled to do something?
Look, our minister is also pointing out that it is not only a problem about age-appropriate content. There is a bigger menace playing at society where you are seeing deepfakes and misinformation, created using AI is completely going viral every day. You are seeing deepfakes with the nudity and sexual exposure about the celebrities shown on children timelines. You are seeing deepfakes of politicians created to create some sort of political unrest in society. You are seeing deepfakes and rumors about other issues which have at times led to the loss of lives. We are also seeing issues where games which are sold, which are in a way social media networks sold in garb of games, where there are multiplayer technologies, in-app purchases, voice and chats, connectivity of profiles with each other, and you're literally playing together. You are exchanging money, and then there's an exposure to sexual content. And those addiction of those games are also leading to suicides. Just a couple of weeks before, 3 innocent teenagers, committed suicide in India by jumping from a balcony because they were addicted to a particular game and a North Korean pop. So the deep fakes and rumors and the misinformation is one set of problem. Age verification and addiction and the unwarranted exposure to the content is another set of problem. But for curbing both, some sort of ID verification has to come in.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Jiten Jain, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot. A crowd. A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.